On November 24, 1989, the small community of Acme, Washington, was shaken when 18-year-old Mandy Stavik disappeared while jogging near her home. Mandy, a popular and high-achieving senior at Mount Baker High School, had returned home from college at Central Washington University to spend Thanksgiving with her family. That afternoon, she decided to go for a run on Strand Road, a familiar route she often took with her family's German Shepherd, Kyra. When the dog returned home alone several hours later, her family grew immediately concerned and launched a search. Despite the efforts of local authorities and volunteers, there was no trace of Mandy that night. 3 days later, on November 27, 1989, Mandy's body was discovered partially submerged in the Nooksack River, several miles from her home. Her remains were found in a remote stretch of water, and the discovery brought the grim realization that foul play had occurred. An autopsy revealed that Mandy had been raped and drowned. Her body showed no defensive wounds, which investigators believed indicated she had either been caught off guard or subdued very quickly. From the start, Mandy's case was treated as a homicide, and dozens of suspects were considered. Investigators collected DNA evidence from Mandy's body, semen that could be used for future comparison. However, in 1989, forensic DNA technology was in its infancy, and there were no matches in any databases. Her case soon went cold, despite the widespread attention it received in Whatcom County and the broader Pacific Northwest. Over the years, multiple detectives tried to revive the case, following every lead that came in, but none led to an arrest. In 2013, the case was reopened by Detective Kevin Bohe of the Whatcom County Sheriff's Office. With advancements in DNA technology and renewed interest, investigators began re-examining the case files. One name that came up during the reinvestigation was Timothy Bass. Bass had been Mandy's neighbor at the time of her death. He was 22 years old in 1989 and lived just down the road from the Stavik family. Despite his proximity, Bass had not been seriously considered a suspect at the time, primarily because he kept a low profile and had never been questioned closely during the original investigation. Bass had since married, had children, and was living quietly in nearby Everson, Washington. When detectives approached him in 2017 for a voluntary DNA sample, he refused, claiming privacy concerns. His refusal raised red flags. Law enforcement then sought another method to obtain his DNA without a warrant. They contacted his employer, Fran's Bakery in Bellingham, where Bass worked as a delivery driver. With the cooperation of a co-worker who secretly collected items Bass discarded at work, including a Coke can and a plastic drinking cup, authorities were able to extract a DNA profile from the items. When compared to the semen found on Mandy's body, the DNA was a match. On December 12, 2017, nearly 28 years after Mandy Stavik's murder, Timothy Forrest Bass was arrested and charged with her rape and murder. The arrest stunned the local community. Many had forgotten Bass entirely, and those who remembered him were shocked he had lived so many years in plain sight. Bass initially maintained his innocence but later changed his defense. He admitted to having sex with Mandy the day she disappeared, but claimed it had been consensual. This claim was widely doubted. Mandy was known for being highly disciplined, careful, and uninterested in dating at the time. Friends and family said she never mentioned any relationship with Bass. Moreover, his claim came only after the DNA evidence placed him at the crime scene. The trial began in early 2019. Prosecutors argued that Bass had seen Mandy jogging and, knowing her routine, ambushed her along the isolated road. He abducted her, raped her, and drowned her in the river to eliminate evidence and prevent her from reporting the assault. The jury heard from Mandy's friends and family, forensic experts, and co-workers of Bass who described his suspicious behavior after learning he was a suspect. One key piece of testimony came from Bass's former co-worker, who had helped obtain the DNA evidence. That cooperation proved critical in solving the case. Another damaging moment for the defense came when investigators revealed that Bass had accessed online records about DNA in cold cases before his arrest. They also uncovered pornography related to rape on his personal computer. On May 24, 2019, after a 2-week trial and several hours of deliberation, the jury found Timothy Bass guilty of first-degree murder. Although the charge of rape was not pursued separately, the sexual assault formed a key part of the case and was considered during sentencing. In July 2019, Bass was sentenced to 26 years and 8 months in prison, the maximum allowed under Washington's sentencing guidelines at the time. The court did not allow parole, and Bass was transferred to Clallam Bay Correction Center, where he remains incarcerated. He has maintained his innocence since the trial, though appeals are unlikely to succeed due to the strength of the DNA evidence and the timing of his shifting statements. Mandy Stavik's death left a lasting wound in her community. Known as an honor student, a musician, and an athlete, she was remembered as warm, funny, and focused. Her case haunted Whatcom County for decades, and the eventual resolution brought some measure of closure to her family and those who had followed her story for years. Her high school, Mount Baker High, created the Mandy Stavik Memorial Scholarship to honor her memory. The scholarship supports students active in the school's music program, one of Mandy's greatest passions. The successful resolution of Mandy's case also served as a landmark moment in the use of surreptitious DNA collection, a practice now more common in solving cold cases. It underscored the power of persistent investigation, forensic advancement, and community cooperation, even decades after a crime is committed.